So we're about 3 weeks away from Titans training camp kicking off in Nashville, and I, for one, am ecstatic. We are almost there. I can smell the pigskin in the air. So in this video, we're gonna talk about 5 players who are in desperate need of a great training camp and a great preseason to solidify a spot on this new Titans roster. And then we also talk about something I like to call the Vrabel effect, and whether or not him being gone hurts or helps some of these players on the list. After the new intro. Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bonafide, and this is Section 240, a channel all about the Tennessee Titans, but from a fan's perspective. Now, like I said, we're inching closer to training camp, and soon it's gonna be preseason football in the air. We almost there, we almost there. Can you feel it? I don't wanna get copyright strike. All right, so OTAs were a few weeks back, and we got some glimpses of the new pieces that we got on our team. Now, granted, it is funny because I didn't see Derek or Mike Vrabel in what seems like forever. But hey, we got a new regime coming on. Now, nobody that watches this channel or nobody that's a fan of the Tennessee Titans could call themselves a stranger to what training camp is and how critical it is going to be this season, especially since we're basically starting brand new with Callie and this new staff. Now, we see it every year with every team. There are surprise breakout players that steal spots from veteran players all the time. And this is the point in time that it happens, when talent, meets opportunity in training camp. The pressure is already high, the competition is fierce, and like the stakes couldn't be higher. Now, if you don't prove your worth, you can almost guarantee that coach gonna wanna see you in his office with the playbook. Now, with that in mind, we got, again, 5 players who need not a good, but a great training camp and preseason if they want to ensure that they're going to still be receiving paychecks from the Titans payroll department. Now, if you're a Titans fan and a fan of the channel, you probably already know who I'm going to be on this list. So let's not waste no time. Now, first up on the list, Caleb Farley. Now, I probably could just stop right there and you guys would completely understand what's going on and why he's on this list, but let's touch on it for a little bit. Now, one of the last big picks by John Robinson, Farley is more locked in with the training staff than anyone. Now, he had question marks when he was coming out of college with the knee, with the back and all those injuries, but you could see the potential for him to be a starter alongside Christian Fulton. But injuries cost that man multiple games. Like he was out the whole 2023 season. That season was gone. Now, don't get me wrong. I follow. He's had some personal tragedies that affected his life, but on the field, which is what we're talking about right now, 14 tackles and going on year 4 is why they kind of like declined his 5th-year option. Hey, and that was a no-brainer by the staff. In my honest opinion, it might be time for Caleb to hang up the spikes and, become a family man or something, especially given the acquisitions we made on defense. We got Awuzie and we got Sneed. So he is on the outside looking in, and everybody knows being on the outside looking in ain't a good place, Now, again, his draft position and the prior regime has probably earned him a little bit longer leash, but now that that's gone, to not give a pun, Farley kind of needs a Music City type miracle training camp and preseason to even make the roster, all right? So if I was a betting man, which I am, shout out to Music City Bets, I put some money on him not being on the final 53 and maybe not the practice squad either, all right? Now, next up, Trey Avery. Now, I like Trey. I do. I think he is a very capable backup player that can help you in a pinch in small stretches. Remember last year when Christian Fulton was out here getting cooked like Sunday dinner? Trey Avery had to come in and fill out some things, and he could help out on special teams and do some things like that. But he's really going to have to show that he can be that guy, because he's kind of like in a similar boat that with Caleb Farley, as we've got new acquisitions that quote unquote make him expendable. Now, the previous regime, they loved him. They thought, they kept him on the team. They found ways to bring him back, things like that. Now, while I said all of these players that I just mentioned and some of the mentions that I mentioned later on need to have great training camps, I think Avery and another player that we'll talk about here in a minute he might need only a very good training camp to be on the team. And that's only because Trey Avery has value in other roles. Now, that value may be over-exaggerated by me, but he can play special teams, he can do this, things like that. Can another year with Chris Harris as the DB coach, boost his skill set and where he can be a factor on those late downs in the game, come in and help out, things like that. I think only time will tell with Trey Avery, but if Trey don't get it together, man, number 23 might be up for grabs. All right. So the next person on this list, and this is one that may not surprise you, but it's Kyle Phillips. Now, when he was drafted, I was super high on Kyle. I felt like his route running, his catching ability was going to have him being like Wes Welker 2.5, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, he had a good rookie training camp. He splashed in that season opener. I think he led all types of receivers with like 66 yards. He had like a nice punt return, but he had some fumbles in that game. And we all know that Vrabel's doghouse is like Leavenworth, okay? You can't get up out of that thing. So, and then he had a couple injuries, and he never really just kind of got the ball rolling back yet. Now, we got Brian Callahan. This is a new offensive philosophy. So I thought, at the beginning of the offseason that, hey, this is good for Kyle. We get an offensive coordinator that knows how to use the wide receivers instead of just use them as, high-paid blocking sleds. But hey, that was until we signed Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. I know for a fact that Kyle threw his phone into the Cumberland River after he got that Tyler Boyd signs with the Titans ESPN notification. The ones you get on your phone. He saw that one and probably launched that thing, because those projected targets that he was going to get in this, them bad boys vanished like Taylor Swift tickets, all right? So now, he could possibly offer some value on special teams, but again, his frame, the way he's like 5'11", it just doesn't play well with the return game. And plus, we drafted Jaquan Jackson, and Kearis Jackson is coming back. So it might not be no room for him in the returning room when it comes to special teams. Now, the only thing I can see Kyle doing, he's got to stay freaking healthy. He's got to. That is paramount. He has to be healthy, and he basically cannot drop a pass if he wants to make a dent in a wide receiver room with DeAndre Hopkins, Ridley, Boyd, and NWI. Yeah. So, yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. So that's 3 of the players down. We got 2 more to go. If you dig in the content, and I know you are because you made it this far, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button and join the section with us, baby. All right? Join the section. It's easy. Just go ahead and click on right there. I'll wait. No, I'm not going to wait, but I mean, you can do it. All right. So 2 more players to go. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I am a big supporter of Malik Willis, and it's probably to my own detriment, all right? Now, when he got drafted, I thought he was gonna be that raw talent that we could ultimately mold and take over. He could take over the reins. He could be the next franchise quarterback. He had a big arm, athletic ability, and let's say I was all aboard the Willis bandwagon. But right about now, the Willis bandwagon is on his last wheel, and it's probably about to break down if it ain't already. Over the past 2 seasons, he's been given opportunities to come in and show that he can be that NFL, backup quarterback, maybe potentially a starter. But every time he comes in the game, it's like the NFL version of the Incredible Hulk roller coaster that we got here at Universal Studios. It's up and it's down. It's up, we take a loop and things like that. He's just inconsistent. He holds on to the ball too long, and then he's just not capable of showing that at this particular point that he can be an NFL level backup. Like, I ain't even talking about being a starter right now. I'm just talking about being a comparable backup. Now, the Vrabel effect might have something to do with this. And you probably look at yourself, well, Bonafide, what is the Vrabel effect? So the Vrabel effect is something that I began to notice, and I talked to a couple of other fans, and they kind of see it too. And it had a few effects on players' this team. It basically boils down to A, whether or not Mike Vrabel liked you as a player, and B, whether or not you messed up. And now we know talented players get a longer leash. See Christian Fulton, but you really couldn't tell what that leash was when you were dealing with Mike Vrabel. Phillips, Willis, and Treylon Burks, to me, were all victims of this Vrabel effect. I mean, I would see, Treylon would maybe miss a route or do something crazy, or maybe drop a pass, and then he would just be, using John Wick excommunicado from the whole game plan. And it's, this is supposed to be the A.J. Brown replacement. So they were basically in the doghouse for making, a mistake in the game. And, this can affect your confidence like anything. You make a mistake and somebody just amplifies it even more. It makes you make mistakes and, hurts your confidence. And then what happens, it puts more pressure on you to perform. And basically, that pressure basically bursts the proverbial pipes when it comes to these three players. But anyway, like I said, I think that's gone now. But when I was thinking about this list, I was thinking about that effect that Vrabel could have had on these players. And I know coaching got to happen, you got to, learn that, but I just think it was something a little off. Now, back to Willis. Mason Rudolph, formerly of Pittsburgh, was signed here to a one-year deal to I'm gonna use air quotes here, I want to be safe, compete with Willis during camp. Now, that's what they said. I'm just telling you what they told me on the TV, all right? Now, will this be a real competition? Probably not. And that it probably ain't gonna be one unless Malik Willis takes like a quantum leap at the position. I'm like, this man comes in here and he looks like the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. Now, I will say that the 3 QB rule that they implemented last year, because of all the QBs going down and having to use position players, that was like a saving grace for him. And especially if he doesn't beat out Mason. But we don't know if this new staff or this new regime is going to even employ that strategy. And to be honest, at this particular point in his career, and with the reports of him using a QB guru and all this good stuff is coming out, he can't rely on that anymore. He has to be the clear-cut number 2 behind Will Levis if he wants to make the squad. Or he's looking at QB3, maybe on about here, all right, as a Titan. Now, the last one, last but not least. Now, a couple of weeks ago, there was a video that came out with Levis and DeAndre, and I think Tajay was there, Chig, and Wilder, and really in Cabo, which is a awesome vacation spot. I've been, great weather, great food. But it was missing a certain individual. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm just like you. I'm a fan, baby. I fell into the trap. I said, man, why Treylon ain't there, man? Why Treylon ain't out here getting these reps in with the team gelling and doing all that? Now, again, I fell in the trap because I understand that Tyler Boyd wasn't there, Pollard wasn't there, and I guess Treylon had just had a new baby. But guess what? I don't really care about all that. You know what I'm saying? Burks, like Farley, is a first-round draft pick who has not produced at all. Now, I made a video that I'm gonna put up here, where I question whether or not Treylon was a bust or not. And I made that a few hours ago, so you can go watch that video here after this video. Now, I get it. He was facing an uphill battle, being compared to A.J. Brown and the Vrabel effect that we talked about. But honestly, right now, it's kind of like put up or shut up time. Like last preseason, it seemed like Burks had it had finally clicked for him. He was finna cook. He was cooking in training camp. All you heard was, oh man, Treylon Burks is looking like the second coming. All of that. He was having a great camp. Then he got injured, which is a recurring theme for him, like in Minnesota during joint practices. And then he came back for the beginning of the season, but he basically did what we did. We thought he was basically a non-factor in a lot of the games in that right there. So now some people will say, well, hey Bonafide, wait a minute, you know, it's a new coaching staff, new regime, we got new offensive coordinator, we got competent people, analytics, so they're gonna unlock the skill set for Treylon. For his sake, he better hope so that they unlock it, because it ain't looking good for him. All right, now he facing the same battle that Kyle Phillips is. Calvin Ridley just got signed. Tyler Boyd just got signed. We couple that with D-Hop coming back. And NWI, hey, I'm an NWI truther now. I slept on him, and I ain't sleeping on him no more. He wide receiver 4. So, and this is another tidbit. I don't know if you heard. Callie said that some of these lower tier wide receivers or people on the lower end of the draft depth chart gonna have to contribute on special teams. So Burks, being the first rounder, is probably looking at wide receiver 5, maybe 6, depending on his camp. That is a terrible return on investment for the Tennessee Titans. So yeah, saying he needs a great training camp is an understatement, to say the least. All right, so we're gonna wrap all this up now. With all of these players that I talked about, all 5 of these players that I talked about, Farley, Avery, Phillips, Willis, and Treylon, Burks is the one, and I know I might be being biased, but Burks is the one who has the most to gain. He has an opportunity, and it could possibly be his last opportunity with us to show that he can be wide receiver 1 or 2. Now, dadgummit, right now, we just need a wide receiver 3, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that he was drafted to be. So now, don't get me wrong, after training camp, we're gonna be dropping videos all over training camp. We're gonna track the status of these 5 players. And then we're gonna revisit this video when we get closer to cut day. Because who knows, maybe I'm wrong on all 5 of these. And my thinking is, if I am wrong on all 5 of these, they mean they exceeded expectations and they have made us a better team. So I can't even hate on that. But drop in the comments if you agree with me in this list, or am I missing somebody who should be on this list who really needs to have a great camp, or they looking at the chopping block. So drop that in the comments. So next up is training camp. So we're gonna be gearing up to training camp. We're gonna be dropping videos leading up to that, and all through training camp. We back, baby. Videos coming out from Section 240. Took a little break, busy year for us. But make sure you locked in with the section, amen. Make sure you like, comment, share this on all of your platforms. Don't forget, because I ain't forgot, we still got the 1K Oilers Throw Bike giveaway. All you gotta do is be a subscriber of the channel to be entered. And look, I even got another surprise for you. We gonna be dropping custom Section 240 merch. So look, man, we got a lot of things popping over here at Section 240. Like, we got a lot of pop. It's gonna be popping. This is an exciting time, all right? So remember, you gotta be a subscriber so you don't miss out on none of this, all right? So remember, there's plenty of room in the sections for all of us. Check out this video where I talked about our draft cast in depth. But remember, tighten up.